Maple House had always been the grandest place on Willow Street. A stately old Victorian mansion nestled behind flowering dogwoods. Its gingerbread trim and wide porch had seen better days. But it still stood with a quiet dignity. The house had been empty for over 5 years, save for the occasional squirrel family or drifting leaf that made its way through a cracked window pane. But one gray October morning, a taxi pulled up, and out stepped a woman in her late 70s. Her white curls tucked beneath a knitted cap. Agnes Weller paused at the gate, her gloved hand resting on the iron latch. Her eyes drifted across the peeling shutters and the ivy creeping up the walls. "Still standing," she murmured. Stubborn old girl. She hadn't been back since Henry passed. He had loved Maple House more than anyone, planted every rosebush himself, painted the porch every summer, even named the squirrels. After he was gone, Agnes couldn't bear the quiet. She'd moved into a small senior community near her daughter, but it never felt like home. Now, though, with her joints stiff and her memories growing foggy, Agnes had made a decision. She wanted to return, even if only for a while. She needed to touch the past again, to remember the feel of Henry's hand in hers on that creaky swing, to hear the laughter of her children echoing down the hall. A neighbor, an old friend named Carl, had arranged for the house to be cleaned up a little. Not perfect, Aggie, he warned her on the phone, but safe, cozy enough. Inside, it smelled of dust and wood polish. The floors creaked like they always had, as if the house was saying hello. She walked through each room slowly, running her fingers along the walls. In the kitchen, the same old kettle hung on its hook. She smiled and set it on the stove, lighting the gas with a practiced hand. Later that evening, bundled in Henry's old sweater, Agnes sat on the front porch with a cup of tea and a blanket over her lap. The sky was a tapestry of amber and indigo. Across the street, children rode bikes, and a young couple walked a dog that barked at everything. She waved, and the woman smiled. The days passed quietly. Each morning, Agnes shuffled through the garden, deadheading roses and sweeping the path. She made simple meals, read old letters, and, occasionally, cried. It was a soft sadness, not the heavy grief of before, but the kind that comes with time and love and longing. Then one rainy afternoon, she found the attic key. She hadn't thought of the attic in years. It was Henry's domain, his fortress of solitude, as he jokingly called it. She climbed the narrow steps slowly, her cane tapping each rung. The door creaked open, and there it was, dust motes dancing in the light, stacks of boxes, old furniture, and the scent of cedar and memory. She found a trunk filled with Henry's journals and sketches. He had drawn her over and over again, laughing, gardening, holding their firstborn. Each page was a love letter in lines and shadows. One entry caught her eye. "If she ever reads this, I hope it's because she's come back. I hope she feels the warmth I left in the floorboards, the songs in the walls. This house is part of us. It's where we lived, where we fought and forgave, where we grew old, and where I'll wait for her. Always." Agnes pressed the book to her chest. The tears came silently. That night, she left a light on in the attic window. Blank. As the weeks passed, the neighborhood grew curious about the gentle woman in the old house. Children would wave to her on their way to school. Some even stopped by to ask questions about the house. Agnes loved telling them stories, about Halloween parties with bobbing apples in the foyer, about the snowstorm of '72 when Henry built an igloo in the backyard. One Saturday morning, a knock at the door surprised her. It was the young woman with the dog. She introduced herself as Emily and explained she and her husband had moved in across the street a few months ago. "I hope it's not forward," Emily said, "but I bake on weekends. Thought you might like some cranberry scones." Agnes chuckled. "You're an angel." They sat together on the porch that morning, sipping tea and sharing stories. Emily talked about her job as a nurse and how she missed her grandmother, who had passed the year before. "You remind me of her," Emily said softly. She had that same kindness in her eyes, and the same stubborn streak when it came to using a cane. Agnes laughed. Guilty. From then on, Emily visited often, sometimes just to sit quietly, sometimes to help in the garden. Slowly, other neighbors followed suit. Carl came by with tools to fix the loose shutters. A group of teenagers volunteered to repaint the fence. Someone even donated a bird feeder, which quickly became the most popular spot for cardinals and chickadees. Maple House, once fading into disrepair, began to breathe again. Winter came gently. Agnes decorated the mantel with pine boughs and cinnamon sticks. On Christmas Eve, the neighborhood gathered on her lawn for caroling. Someone had strung lights across the porch. And a small boy gave her a hand-painted ornament that read, Maple Magic. That night, as the snow began to fall, Agnes sat by the fire with Henry's journal in her lap. She whispered to the flickering flames. You were right, my love, it's all still here. She fell asleep in the chair. And in her dream, Henry was there, young and strong, wearing his flannel shirt and mischievous grin. Took you long enough, he teased. I missed you every day, she said. I know, but you brought it back. Aggie, the light, the laughter, you always were the heart of this house. Blank. When Emily came the next morning to bring cinnamon rolls, she found Agnes peacefully asleep, a gentle smile on her face, the fire still crackling softly. The journal lay open on her lap. Maple House was never empty again. Emily and her husband moved in and kept the traditions alive. The porch swing stayed in place. And every winter, someone would hang that little ornament, Maple Magic. And each evening, the last light in the attic window shone warmly, a soft glow against the night, as if someone were still watching, still waiting, still loving. Blank.